So what I'd say is particular price shocks happen to particular prices that we don't have control over, but I don't want to suggest we don't have control over inflation in the medium term. That's our job. But screwworm affects beef prices. Other things affect oil prices and milk prices, and I understand that has an effect on people's household budgets.
Indeed, it does, and I think we've seen the price of energy go up by billions and billions of dollars, and the American people are essentially paid for that at the pump and other places in their pocketbooks. As you know, your predecessor as chairman was regularly harassed and berated by the President of the United States on social media with respect to interest rates. At least so far, you seem to have escaped that fate. But I do think it's important that we have an understanding of whether or not the president is trying to influence Fed conduct. I know you were asked recently at your last press conference about any communications with the president. I think your response was, on the president, I don't have anything for you. Mr. Chairman, was that a yes or a no with respect to whether you've had communications with President Trump?
So I like what I said the first time. Senator, I don't have anything for you. I will say this, though. I do meet with the Treasury Secretary weekly. I talk to him often between that.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure
I'll make my own decisions as monetary policy.
I just want to understand the answer. Mm-hmm. Have you or have you not had communications with President Trump since you took this position?
I just don't want to be in the business of sharing discussions that the president and I have.
Okay.
I will tell you what I've said to the president repeatedly and said to the Treasury Secretary. They chose an independent guy to do an independent job, and that's exactly what I plan on doing.
Okay.
And I'd like to think over the last 7 weeks, given the decisions we've made and the things we've done, that it's not just words, it's actions now to start to demonstrate that.
So Mr. Chairman, I mean, I think it's important. I take from your answer you've had communications. You don't want to disclose the content. Will you commit to do what your predecessor did, which was to release your appointment schedule and conversations with President Trump?
I don't know what the past practice was. I will be in full compliance with the law. As I understand it, there's an ongoing FOIA request on my calendar, and I will share it consistent with the law.
Well,
I believe the first one's already come out. Actually.
I think this was this wasn't in response to any legal requirement forced by FOIA. It was a question of transparency, and I do think, given the president's past record of trying to influence Fed behavior via social media, with respect to your predecessor, if he's trying to influence Fed behavior through private conversations with you, I think that needs to be something the public is aware of. And I'm asking you whether you will commit to disclosing when you have conversations with the President of the United States.
Senator, I can offer you this assurance. The president has not, before I took this office, before I raised my right hand, he has not tried to influence the conduct of monetary policy. And if he tried to, I would continue to keep my head down and do the job. I don't have a long record, but I've got a 7-week record. And before that, I had a 25-year record. And I think that should count for something.
I appreciate that. I hope you'll just follow the precedent your predecessor.
Senator Kennedy, the floor is yours.
Well, Senator Van Hollen's my buddy, so this is not meant toward him, but I always get a kick out of my Democratic friends talking about transparency. Toward the end, God bless him, you could bake a Thanksgiving turkey in the time that it took President Biden to walk across the stage, and they kept it quiet till they couldn't. I'm sorry he was in that condition, but this transparency stuff cuts both ways. What's wrong with you talking to the President of the United States?
So, Senator, I've got a wide lens. I'm interested in hearing points of view from a whole range of people. We have a narrow remit. I'm interested in what's happening in the world, in the Middle East and elsewhere.
Is there anything wrong with it? Do you have to, when you do it, do you have to go out and look for the last phone booth in Washington and put a bag over your head and sneak in there and call him? Or return his call? Is there anything wrong with that?
I certainly don't feel uncomfortable receiving a call from the chairman of this committee or the President of the United States.
Okay. Do you think Ben Bernanke ever talked to the president?
When I was a governor, I recall several conversations and frequent
How about Alan
meetings.
Greenspan?
When I was a young staffer in the White House, I remember being honored by him coming into the White House and meeting with the president and the president's advisors quite frequently.
Okay. I think what I would give me concern, and I think it's the basis for my colleagues' concern, is that you just do whatever the president says, but you're not going to do that, are you, or are you?
Senator, I'm going to call it the best I see it. The president never asked me to do anything inappropriate, and if he did, I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
I'm going to follow the law and do my best to follow the remit you gave us.
Okay, so in the last year or so, recent past, I'll say, the Fed cut rates 3 times because they were worried about the labor market. Is that a fair assessment?
That's my sense of what
And
they did before
it
my
worked.
arrival.
It worked, correct?
Well, that's a longer discussion. They did
Well, is
cut
the
rates.
labor market in a mess today?
The labor market's in good shape, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to draw that causal connection.
So I don't have much time, Mr. Chairman. I love you like a taco, but I'm on. Yeah, you don't filibuster on me. So it worked. Okay. Now we have inflation. Okay. What caused it? In 20 seconds.
In 20 seconds, inflation is caused when a one-time change in price is broadened out.
I know what inflation is.
And the
Mr.
Federal
Chairman.
Reserve.
Tell me what caused it.
Monetary policy, sir.
Okay. Well, I would say what is causing it is AI, the conflict with Iran, and probably the residual effect of the fact that some imports have become more expensive. Okay? And I think any fair-minded person would conclude that. There was a lot of economists said, the impact of inflation on the rise in the cost of imports would be a one-shot deal. You can teach that one round or flat. I don't know. I think it's probably had a residual effect. Okay, is it temporary or is it permanent, the inflation?
It's not going to be permanent under my watch, Senator.
Okay, what are you going to do about it?
So we're going to do 3 things. One is for those people in markets that think the Fed really was comfortable with a higher level of inflation, we're doing our best to disabuse them.
Okay, you're going to talk about it. What's the second thing you're going to do?
We're going to take ownership of it. We're going to say we have the power to do something.
Okay, you're going to own it.
That's right.
What's the third thing you're going to do?
We're going to look at our tools in the changing economy, both balance sheet and interest rate, and see whether we need to adjust policy to take it head on.
You're going to look at your tools. That's the third thing. I'm not asking you what action the Fed's going to take. That would be improper, Mr. Chairman. I wouldn't do that, and you wouldn't tell me anyway. Give specifically, like you're talking to a 10th grader, okay? Not. What are your options? Leave it alone, right? Leave rates alone. Is one option.
That is an option, Senator.
Raise rates.
Another option.
Cut rates.
A third option. A non-exclusive list of options, but yes.
Well, and a lot of it depends on whether it's temporary or permanent. So how do you decide whether it's temporary or permanent? I got that in with 6 seconds left.